We are live, I can see. How are you doing, guys? All good in your hood? Oh, hold on a second. I'm going to see if I can. All right, guys. So, yes, I am a Darude and I am home or in my studio, actually. Let me see. I'm just trying to figure out. And yeah, coronavirus, self-quarantine here. Our family is doing pretty okay. We still have toilet paper. All is good. And we all feel relatively well. We've had a little bit of sniffle, but I think that's just the seasonal flu going on and not the coronavirus, but we are being careful anyways. We've not gone out to the world for a while, except that I went to the store the other day, had a little mask on and some gloves, and steered away from people. And that's it. The crazy thing about this whole thing is, like you guys all know, we all have different kinds of difficulty because of it. We miss our friends. And as DJs, we miss touring. We are all probably to different levels worried about when it's going to be our next day of work outside the studio or whatever your thing is. We're worried about the paychecks, whenever they next come, and so on. And obviously, we're worried about health of ourselves and our families and loved ones. So, interesting times. So I'm going to think hard about what I can do to be in touch with you guys while this is going on. And obviously, streaming stuff is one thing that I can do and that I have done before as well. Just not haven't had too much time recently to do it. So now, obviously, there's other things to do than sit in a studio. I still have my 2 kids and my wife. And so take care of the family is obviously number one, but close number 2 is trying to finish as many tracks as I can and some other projects here in the studio while I can't do much more else professionally. But that includes also trying to activate the streaming stuff. And right now, obviously, I'm on my phones. And by the way, just a full disclosure, I'm streaming 2 things at the same time. I'm on YouTube streaming live, and I'm also on Instagram live, and managing that with 2 phones. Great innovation here. But then when I'll do my actual studio streaming setup, I'm going to be using a couple of cameras, a lav mic, and audio from my actual professional sound card going into another one into the streaming laptop, and the quality should be quite good for actual streaming. I don't know, production stuff, maybe DJing and that kind of stuff. And so what I would really like you guys to do is in these comments here or later on Insta comments, Insta messages, Twitter messages, Facebook messages on my page, to comment on what you would like to see me do here. Like I said, I can do some production stuff. I could technically do some tutorials or show mic tips and tricks if somebody wants that. I could do possibly like a request hour on tracks of mine or maybe my favorites, something like that. And especially you there, YouTube, I'm looking at you. Don't be typing Sandstorm there all the time. I probably could play it here and there, but I'm not going to be playing it the pace you're requesting it. I have not ever, and I will never play it all the time. But yes, I usually play it here and there in my sets, at least once, or not more than once. Maybe tease with some stuff here and there. Anyway, right now what I'm doing is I am in the studio and I'm actually about to start stem mixing and mastering a track. Can, let's see, it's there. That's my screen. Let's take the other one here as well. Cumbersome, but works. And then aiming that up a little bit. Yeah. So I've got this project. This is actually a little different for me. I've been working on some drum and bass, and I'm not going to claim this is real drum and bass or that I'm the best at it, but it's been actually quite fun working on some different stuff that I haven't in a while. What I've done now is I basically have the track sort of done, and I know you probably won't see details, but the first part of that is the edit, the short version, and the second part here is the extended. I'm actually, this time I have them in the same project file, and I'm in the phase right now where I am exporting audio stems, which means separate parts that are similar or go together. So one stem would be, for instance, all the effects. It would be all the booms and all the whoosh and all the whatever ear candy there is. There's two vocal parts here that are separate ones, lead vocal and sort of backing vocal. And there's all the drums are in one, all the bass is in one, all the sort of pad sounds, the synthy sounds, strings and stuff and pads are there in one. And then there's a synth which has lead sounds and a couple of other synthy sounds. And then there's other, which is sort of this extra bass line and some piano type keys. Anyway, so what I usually do in the end of a project or towards the end is I do a final mix in this so-called live project where I still have every little drum sound, every note basically live, so to say. So where I tweak them to my best knowledge, my how I feel them, they're the best sounding and fitting together, good levels, good balance, good panorama, stereo image. And then I bounce them as separate stems, like I said, and then after that I put them in a stem mixing and mastering project, which is sort of just fresh project that has nothing else but those separate files. And then it has a comparison one, some sort of a usually similar track that I can compare to sound wise, so that, you know, my bass is equally loud and kicks are equally punchy, mid, you know, range synths and other stuff come through the same way, and it's equally wide or better than the reference track. And so this is where I'm right now. I can actually play some drum loops for you. Let's see. Let's turn it up a little bit for you guys. So this is a little different for me. All right, let's put some bass on some. So that's what I'm doing right now, and basically I am going to hit bounce as I'm doing these separate tracks. This is stem number 4, and it is all the drums. And now when the computer is doing its thing, I can see if I can see what you're asking. Those loops you heard are, yes, some of them are from loop packs, but I rarely use anything directly out of a loop pack. And for instance, this one is 170 BPM, and I had 174 and like 160 something loops from various packs that I usually just like slice them on the 16ths or 8ths and use 2 to 4, sometimes more loops, and create sort of a full loop, like a one loop out of many. So I use the claps out of that one and the kicks out of that one and this and that. And I try to, when I hear a loop that I like a lot, I sort of decide, yeah, I'm going to use it, but I rarely use it as is. But then I try to, after that, isolate all the sounds, single different sounds like hi-hats and claps and snares and kicks and whatnot, so that I can treat them separately, and I'll put them on separate tracks, even if it was one loop. And that way I can easily manipulate, do some snare rolls with the same snare easy. I can tune them if I want to. So for instance, this track is on in a certain key. It was, hold on a sec, E minor, I think was, yeah. And so I needed to actually tune the kick and the snare, which are, you know, the biggest elements of that kind of drum loop. There was some tonal, it was kind of a clang slash plus hi-hat thing that I needed to tune for it to fit the track. So I'm totally a, you know, drum sample or loop user, but I usually always end up mangling them and or compiling the loop stuff from several different ones. So I try to avoid just throwing one thing in. But often in the beginning of a project, I do go through a bunch of loops and just pull whatever sort of pleases my ear, because in the beginning of the project, I'm looking for sort of like that energy and inspiration and something that just lets me work quickly, sort of if I have a melodic or rhythmic or whatever idea in my head, to get that out quickly, and the drums are there just to support that and accompany that, and then later on I'll usually tweak the drums a little more. I look like Harry Potter. Moi Simo. Well, you've looked like Harry Potter all your life, so. Yep. All right, so that's bounced, and this is maybe music-wise a little boring for you guys right now, because I'm just going to be bouncing here these in the background, but I actually need to do this, and as each bounce takes a couple of minutes, so it's easy for me to just let it bounce, the computer do the work, and I'll talk to you. Did I use a 303 for the lead sound in Sandstorm? No, I did not. I did not have a 303 then, but I did have a thing called Rebirth, which was Propeller Heads, or now Reason Studios, first, I would say, you know, actually almost one of the first plug-in type things or virtual instrument type things in the world. And I actually indeed used a couple of drums that had the second version of that, or whatever, was it 1.5 version or 2 version, had both an 808 drum machine and a 909 drum machine emulation in it. And I used some of the 909 drum sounds on my original demo, but then I'm not sure if any of those ended up in the final one that I worked on with JS16 in his studio, because he had a real 909, so didn't need the sample ones there. But I'm thinking you're asking about the lead sound. So the lead sound is a crappy mono sample that is sort of this, it actually could be something like a 303, but it's a dull filter, almost closed, maybe resonance a little up, sort of mid-bass sound sample that sounds nothing like it when you hear it not distorted, but when you throw it through a distortion unit, it starts sounding, well, like, you know, the do-do-do lead now. All right. Full track from start to finish. I could actually do that, and there is a track idea right now that I'd be willing to share. And so let me explain a little bit. If I'm working on a remix for somebody, with almost anybody who has some sort of a name, often they don't want me or anybody else work publicly on that, because they're gonna promote it, and when it's done, then they have their plans. So often it's not possible to do that publicly, because that sort of ruins promotions and such, or contractually it's not possible. Sometimes when I work on my own tracks, it's the same thing. I just don't feel like I want to share everything. But any one of you, if you ever watched me stream earlier, which I haven't done in a maybe almost couple of years now, at least not regularly, I have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Darude, where you can still find a lot of videos of me doing stuff here. I sampled a couple of my hardware synths. I created a couple of remixes. For instance, Gabriel and Dresden Waiting for Winter track, I remixed a good bit of it live on air on a Twitch stream. The same with, oh man, I forgot. Well, the track is by Dean Mason, but what was the track called? Anyway, it's an F minor track, and I made a 128 remix of it, but now I forgot the name. Okay, well, anyway, so that was totally done all online. So it was like 2 to 5 hour sessions on over several days where I worked on that, and it was quite fun. It was quite cool seeing people's just commentary along the way. And I actually, with the Dean Mason track, there was somebody who contributed to that too. Send me an idea melody based on what I did, and which I ended up using a similar sound and even quite close to the melody thing that he did. So it ended up being sort of a collaborational remix as well. Hey, Abdullah Jackson, long time no talk, mate. And thanks. My studio is quite simple. I have been very much in the box for a long time now, but actually I just recently had some revelations happen and changes. I've got a big screen because it's a little further on the wall that I used to earlier. I had a 30-inch Apple screen earlier here, but it was closer, and now that's a 49-inch one, and it's like a foot and a half further. It's a 4K screen, and it works really well for Logic. And this setup, having my laptop down here, I usually have a mixer. Let's see, it's not there now. I just opened the project. I usually have a small mixer there where I can see most of what I need. And obviously, if I want a full mixer, I could get it there. And that's like, hold on, I don't know, it's like 40 or so channels. No, 35, something like that. I guess, that fits there. It's really nice having a big screen. And my dearly, dearly loved Genelecs are the white speakers that you see there. They are superb. I've had them now for 2.5 years, I guess. I was quite, not the first one, I'm not saying that braggingly, but when they came out with these coaxial design with basically one spot on the speaker that the sound comes out, that's a mid and a high element in the center, and then here there's two sort of oval bass elements behind the front plate, and the whole thing is that the sound comes basically from one spot. So there's no, even though it's a three-way speaker, but it the perception is that it sound comes from one spot. So the stereo image and panorama and depth is, I don't know, the best it can be, because there's no different spots in the speaker where the sound comes from. My studio is now based on an Apple laptop. I used to have and I still have it around the corner there, a Mac Pro, but that's a 10-year-old model, and now actually 11 years old, and I needed to retire it recently. But now I'm on a MacBook Pro 2018 model, and then I have a Nectar Panorama keyboard. I don't know if you guys see that. That's just a MIDI keyboard that plays really well with Logic. I like it quite a lot. I also have a complete control by Native Instruments, the 88 key, sort of piano key version of it, and I like that as well. What else? We can turn this, I guess, a little bit. So then I have a little bit of rack action here. And so what I said earlier, that I've changed a little bit, because I used to do, and I still love doing, most of the stuff in the box, so to say, so in the computer, so virtual instruments and effects units. But this red beast here is where a couple of great sounds in my earlier productions come from, and I recently rebought one of those for me. So it's a Nordrak 2 from Clavia, a Swedish company. I've got a Roland JP8080, which is the trance machine from early 2000s, or it came out a little bit before 2000. And then right in the bottom there, I don't know if you see it, but there's an MS2000R, so Korg MS2000 rack version. And sort of that's my virtual instrument, virtual analog synth department right there. There's also my first ever synthesizer here. It's Korg TR Rack, which is sort of a sample-based Rumpler, they call it. I've got an amazing Grace Design M101 mic preamp there that I use for piping my studios, my vocal booth stuff to my sound card and then to Logic. And my tool of choice is Logic Pro that I mostly use. I do use Ableton Live here as well, here and there as well, and I recently got Cubase because I collab with some people that use Cubase, and I used Cubase actually in early 2000s, so it's interesting to sort of get back to that a little bit, just to have, I don't know, options to work on different projects with different people and not be totally lost using just one, because then you need to then you're kind of at the mercy of the other person totally if you don't know their DAW at all. And then also if you have the same DAW or DAW, the digital audio workstation, to somebody else, then you can more easily exchange project files and you know, work like that. But then, so you guys can't really see that, but this is my baby now. I'll see if we can. So this guy right here, oh man, there's two different phone cameras that are not Well, that's a sub 37 or subsequent 37 by Moog, and it's a pretty nice analog synth that has all the benefits of a almost like a plug-in synth, because it has a plug-in interface on the computer that I can tweak it and automate it from. So the sounds are sweet Moog filters and oscillators and anything and everything that Moog has to offer, and this is a really sort of modern take of a classic amazing analog synthesis gadget. And like I said, it has a, I can use it as a plugin or control it through a plugin on my DAW, so it's quite easy to incorporate into my whole setup. All right. Have I met Rowan Atkinson? No, but I would love to. He, I've seen a couple of interviews, and it's so funny to watch him be normal after seeing Mr. Bean and then all, well, I mean, Johnny English and stuff like that. So, all right, what else is there? All right, guys, let's see if play that one. How loud it is for you? What song? Hello, South Africa. I am in my studio, yeah. Olohuone soi, Markku, mutta ei tuu vieläkään optisesta. I'm right-handed. Joo, Markku. Hi, Elon. What's up, my friend? Yay. So that's the long original mix of Feel the Beat. And let's see how mixed up my cables are now. All right. Why do I not hear my Nord lead? Pardon me. I just recently rewired some stuff. I gotta check a thing right quick, guys. Come on. Maybe I should put another track on while we wait for me to figure my ish out. How about how about that? Yeah, how's that? What else? What else? What else do I have? Hmm. Hmm. If you came to any of my shows, well, before coronavirus, started my shows with this a while ago. All right, so where are you guys watching from? No, it's not getting cold. It's just brewed. Hey, Edmonton. I'm glad I finally made it there. All right, so that's it. Let's see if I can make this work now. Different project. I saw Elon Bluestone was asking about a Sandstorm riff sound. I don't have the actual riff sound that I want to share exactly right now, but let's see. Why is this IO plugin not letting me? That's irritating. There's so much delay on playing this live. So. But how about this? What does it sound? right, so thanks. Let's turn the camera to the laptop. All right. So, anyway, guys, I have got to get to work today still for a couple of hours. I just wanted to say hi. Personally, and our family is doing great. Learning how to homeschool our boy. Our little one is doing great. We still have the luxury of having her babysitter around. So she's been fine as well. So my wife and I are sort of working not regularly, but quite all right. And okay, sure, this is work as well, but this is fun work talking to you guys. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing the final mix down slash my master, which might end up still being redone, the actual master by somebody else, because I usually do like a pre-master that I like, and sort of then let somebody who has better ears than I do the final one before it goes out. Okay, Master for Ranks, if you can play it with the flute, please record you doing so, and I don't know, let us see it too. Let's see, one more thing there. Is there this too? Coffee's on the way. All right, peace. I'll talk to you soon. I think I'm going to post possible streaming times, days and times on my social media. So facebook.com/Darude, twitter.com/Darudeville, VIL, Darudeville, and then Insta and YouTube r/Darude as well. I hope you guys are doing great. I hope you guys are not panicking too much. I hope you guys are being responsible and protecting yourselves and others and not spreading the virus. And like pretty much I've seen everybody else ending their videos recently. Wash your hands.